Hi, my name is Masood. In this video, I will show how to work with ExcClipse. This is my plugin. So from this link, we can get the plugin update URL. And then we can install using the Eclipse installation features. So it is quite easy and we just need a few more clicks. You have to accept the license. It is right now free, so anybody can use it. So you need a restart. So here we can see now that there is a new icon, that is ExcClipse, and we can see different options. That is, if we enable, then we'll see that is actually there are three windows. This window is for web search, and this is for browsing the result, and this is for code example search. Okay, so before using that, we should be introduced with different mode of working. So let us consider that we select interactive mode. That is quite similar to the keyword search. So once I select a mode, the workbench or the IDE should be restarted, because different modes have different types of working methodologies and it needs restart. So now we are in interactive mode. So what actually happens? Suppose a developer is debugging a code and she is trying to run this code, okay, and suddenly she encounters some kind of exception. Now there are some situation, or there are a couple of options the developer can choose. If developer is smart enough, then actually she can click the source code link and he can do some kind of debugging here, and she tries to find out that is how to fix this problem. But if this exception is not that much familiar to her, or she doesn't know how to fix the exception, so in that case she'll try to maybe copy this error message and maybe we'll try Google search. So here we can see that there are lots of options Google is providing. Anyway, so she tries something and she gets a lots of results, and she doesn't have much options, or doesn't have much idea that which results is the most preferable and which results actually contains the solution. So there are some issues. So there are some heuristics that developer often use. That is, they try to match the error message with the title or the keywords highlighted here. So in this way, they try to find the solution. Okay, but ExcClipse provides some kind of alternative options for problem fixing. So let us see how it actually works. So when the ExcClipse is enabled, what it does, that is, it provides some kind of query recommendation. So once I click the get queries, automatically the queries are collected. Now I am pressing, that is, control plus space, and now I can see that is the ExcClipse is providing a list of recommendations. They are ranked recommendations. So these are some kind of queries, and this is generated from the struct trace as well as, that means this is struct trace, and this is the context code. That context code is generating this exception. So analyzing both of this information, ExcClipse actually producing this search query, which is often not easy for the developers to create. So now let's select the top queries, and here ExcClipse also provides several options. That is, you can try ExcClipse, and you can also try the major search engines like Google, Bing, or Yahoo. Anyway, let's try ExcClipse, and as we can see, that is there are two options, that is associate context and that is set search. So whenever I am clicking this one, automatically it is selected. What does it mean? That is, with this search, the search will consider this context code as well as this struct trace as input, whereas the Google, Bing, or Yahoo, or I mean the traditional web search basically search against just this simple query. So most of the time the results which are produced by those search engines are not that much effective for a particular context code or a particular struct traces, and developer often face problem to find out the solutions for that particular code in the IDE. So what we are trying to do, that is, we are actually analyzing this context code as well as this struct traces during the search, and we are trying to produce the result. So let's click. So generally it takes 15 to 20 seconds, so it is not still real time, but the idea is the result which will be provided, they are basically collected from these three search engines, and they are actually analyzed against this context code as well as these struct traces by manually extracting the source HTML source of each of those pages. So now the ranking, this ranking is much more effective in that sense, that is, they are actually ranked against this context code as well as this struct traces, and they provide much more insights about the ranking of each of the results. Anyway, here we see that is there are a couple of results, and yeah, sometimes we try to solve the problems based on the reputation of a particular site. For example, let us consider the Stack Overflow. Okay, so this, we have clicked the Stack Overflow site, and what ExcClipse does, it actually provides the most relevant section of a particular web page into this panel. The idea is you can easily check your struct traces against the struct trace which is discussed in the web page, and it is quite easy for you to determine the relevance, which is not much possible in case of the traditional search, because in that case what you have to do, that is, you have to click this page and you have to browse through all top to bottom, and then you have to check this struct trace and this struct trace. So there is some kind of constant switching back and forth, which is not that much effective, and sometimes it is quite distracting and time consuming also. So in this way, when the developer is convinced, that is, she has actually selected that particular page which is quite relevant for the problem in the IDE, then what she can do, that is, she can double click the result link, and as she can readily check the web pages within the IDE. So here is the page, and it is discussing some kind of problem. For example, here we can see that is the context code here, and here we are also getting the context code which is to some extent quite similar, and it is producing the same type of exceptions. So this is how developer can easily check the relevance between the current problem at hand and the web page and a problem which is discussed in the web page. So this is providing much more flexibility and is providing a more reliable ranking from theoretical perspective. ExcClipse also provides other options, and it facilitates the search with other types of traditional search engines like Google, Bing, or Yahoo. So let's try maybe with Google, and a developer can use the recommended queries, and the search can be found within this panel. So this makes ExcClipse makes quite easy both the context-aware search, that means that's the search that considers both the stack traces and as well as the stack traces and the context code, and it also provides the keyword-based search which do not consider the context of a particular exception encountered in the IDE. ExcClipse also provides another kind of services, that is code example recommendation. For example, this is the context code, and here in the context code different API objects are used, and according to the API design specification, those API methods actually can return trigger lots of exceptions. And all those exceptions are basically handled using some kind of generic handler, and that handler does nothing but prints the stack traces. So basically this is a very bad practice for exception handling and error recovery mechanisms. So this handler need to be improved. So using the traditional code search engines, what a developer can actually do, that is she can consider the encountered exception which is triggered from this context code, and maybe she can also select some keywords from the context, and then using this traditional code search engine, for example the GitHub, she can make the search. But the problem of this traditional search engine, that is, it returns a huge number of results, and the results are represented in the form of a source code file. So most of the time it is not quite easy to check those results and finding a good exception handling code examples. So to solve this problem, what ExcClipse actually does, the ExcClipse actually does, that is, it analyzes this context code, and when developer asks for the queries for this particular context code, then we get something like this, that is, we are pressing Control and space and we get a recommended query. So here what ExcClipse is suggesting, that is, IO exception should be handled basically for this context code, and these two are dominant API classes. So this is the recommended query, and now when developer click for search, what ExcClipse actually does, using this search query, ExcClipse collects a lots of code examples from GitHub code repositories, about 700 repositories, and then after collecting those code examples, those examples are actually matched with this context code, both from the structural perspective as well as the lexical perspective. And the ranking algorithm also ensures that is the code examples should contain a good quality handler for the particular exception which is provided as the query. So we get we get basically 15 code examples, and here we can click different code examples and we can look for a particular handler. For example, here you can see that is the IO exception. An IO exception is handled using some kind of third-party method, and that method what actually does, that is, it takes the exception message and actually does something with that exception message rather than reporting or just logging. So in this way, these code examples provide some kind of additional idea, that is how an exception could be handled. So using this kind of code examples, what a developer can do, she can actually improve her code examples, and because this is a generic exception handler, it just prints the struct traces, and it is not much effective for further maintenance or evolution. So in this way, the ExcClipse recommends code examples and help the developers to improve their exception handlers. So thus, ExcClipse actually provides three main services. That is, at first it analyzes the struct trace and the context code, and then it produces a list of search queries. Then using that search query, it provides a rank list of results with their rank specified, for example, and it is, from theoretical perspective, it is much more effective. And it also recommends a search query for the context code, and it also collects a number of exception handling code examples that might be helpful for the developer. So that's all about the ExcClipse. Anyway, good luck with the tool. Thank you.